Now, if you've been following American politics over the past 9 months or so, and you have a decently functioning human brain, you should not have been surprised to wake up to the news that Rex Tillerson is out at the State Department.
Rex and I have been talking about this for a long time. We got along actually quite well, but we disagreed on things. When you look at the Iran deal, I think it's terrible. I guess he thought it was okay. I wanted to either break it or do something, and he felt a little bit differently. So we were not really thinking the same.
Tillerson, who was told he was being let go on Friday by General Kelly, spoke briefly to reporters today, and he didn't look well. He was visibly emotional.
I want to speak now to my State Department colleagues and to our interagency colleagues and partners at DOD and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, most particularly. To my Foreign Service officers and civil service colleagues, we all took the same oath of office. Whether you're a career, employee, or political appointee, we are all bound by that common commitment.
Well, that was nice. Well, back in November, I asked the president about the Secretary of State's job security.
I want my vision, but my vision is my vision anyway. It's called cost saving. There's nothing wrong with cost saving. Rex is in there working hard. He's doing his best. He's doing the best he can.
Is he going to be with you for the duration?
Well, we'll see. I don't know who's going to be.
Well, not exactly a ringing endorsement of the duration. Well, of course, the lemmings in the press spent the entire day painting the Tillerson firing as evidence of more White House dysfunction.
This almost feels like a vacation from the reality TV-style turmoil that is churning back in Washington. The president may be wondering why he didn't come to California sooner. This is his first trip out here because of everything that he's left behind.
What does chaos mean in our foreign policy? It means many of our allies, who I've worked for over the years, they don't know what to expect next from the United States. That creates a vacuum in the world that Russia is moving into very quickly and China is moving into in Asia.
Oh, yeah, Trump caused the rise of China and the Russia aggression in Crimea. Oh, my goodness. Chaos? You mean what we saw for the 8 years of the Obama administration when Barack Obama didn't fire anyone over Benghazi, the IRS targeting of conservatives, or the Fast and Furious scandal? Or was it the chaos we saw when Obama pushed out Gaddafi and Mubarak, sparking the rise of ISIS in Iraq and in Syria? Now, what about the chaos of doubling our debt and exploding the trade deficit? As China, of course, grew bolder and more powerful, did any of that count as chaos? Well, Trump, by contrast, has been very clear that we want to have better relationships with more nations if possible, and we're not going to be anyone's pushover. Look, the fact is, Tillerson should have tendered his resignation a long time ago. He disagreed with the president on major issues. He was opposed to the talks with North Korea. He supported the Paris Climate Accords. He questioned the president's Charlottesville response. He was at odds with Trump on moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem and was a fan of the Iran nuclear deal. Oh, that's great. The president, of course, was not a fan. Other than that, the two were perfectly in sync. And then there was this.
Could you address the main headline of this story that you called the president a moron? And if not, where do you think these reports are?
I'm not going to deal with petty stuff like that. I mean, this is what I don't understand about Washington. Again, I'm not from this place, but the places I come from, we don't deal with that kind of petty nonsense.
How about the place I come from is if you call your boss a moron, you probably shouldn't be in that position. The only question I have is, why did it take the president so long to fire Tillerson? I'm sure he's a nice guy, but come on. CIA Director Mike Pompeo, by all accounts, is a far better fit to be Trump's Secretary of State. As the president said, it's kind of about chemistry and approach. Tillerson didn't gel in either category.
I've gotten to know a lot of people very well over the last year, and I'm really at a point where we're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want.
And since last summer, the president has been slowly getting his team together. Think about it. He hired General John Kelly as chief of staff. He moved Sarah Sanders in as press secretary. He moved Tom Price out and Alex Azar in as secretary of HHS. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more changes to come. That's not chaos. That's called smart staffing. He's been in the White House just over, 13 months or so. And now Trump knows what he needs in his closest staff, and the cabinet too. And he might not do everything the button-down, traditional way, well, that's for sure. But he's hitting his stride, and he's getting a really strong team in place. Think about it this way. When a player isn't performing on the field or on the court, a good coach benches him. And when that same player is a consistent drag on the team, well, a good coach is going to trade him or just let him go entirely. And that's precisely what Trump did. And he should do the same with anyone else who seems pained to support his agenda once he makes his decision final. And that's the angle.